Adult Swim has really grown in popularity over the years, but for every success like Rick and Morty or Smiling Friends, they've also had dozens of other less popular but still highly creative, imaginative, and straight up weird shows that have added a huge variety of depth to the company's catalog. One of the channel's most beloved fan favorite shows, by far, is The Venture Bros. Venture Bros is an incredibly well-written show, deeply layered with many diverse themes, meticulous world building, a great attention to detail, and an array of different influences that compose its unique identity, ranging from old pulp stories, classic science fiction, Hanna-Barbera shows, action cartoons, B-movies, comic books, and, of course, superheroes. And they got an equivalent for just about everyone: Blade, The Punisher, Wonder Woman, Doctor Doom, Captain America, both Nick Fury and the Hulk in the same guy. They even have a Spider-Man that shoots webs out of his ass.
End of the line, sir.
All of these different inspirations work together to form an identity that's entirely unique to the Venture Bros. They were implemented in such a purposeful way that they go beyond being simple references. Almost every character they introduced throughout the show's 7-season run had meaningful character arcs that completely changed their way of being. They all go through some kind of development, from the protagonist to even the secondary and minor figures, with a lot of their story arcs being some of the most compelling and engaging plot lines from the entire show. This is the case with the show's parody of the Fantastic Four, and, more specifically, their version of Mr. Fantastic, an abusive, egotistical, and downright evil man that gets progressively worse as the series goes along. In the very first episode of the show, we are introduced to Professor Richard Impossible, a super scientist with stretchy powers that's clearly highly successful, given that he's the CEO of a huge corporation that frequently works on projects backed by the US government. But he's also clearly an asshole and a jerk, especially when dealing with series protagonist Dr. Venture, a relationship that goes back to when Venture was enrolled in college and Professor Impossible was one of his teachers. Their rivalry would get the spotlight during the 7th episode of Season 1 that has Professor Impossible inviting Dr. Venture, Billy Quizboy, and Pete White to join him for a scientific project in his Arctic base. A couple minutes into the story, we're introduced to Sally Impossible, Richard's wife, who treats her like crap and is very dismissive. He doesn't even allow his own wife to get out of her room, something that seems, really odd, abusive, and screwed up to everybody else. But Professor Impossible justifies this by saying that she has a condition. Sally, however, becomes interested in Dr. Venture and gets close to him, and he soon discovers exactly what kind of condition she has.
Kiss me, Dr. Venture! Kiss me! Please, Dr. Venture!
Get away from... Oh, God.
After this, Sally tells him how years ago, Professor Impossible had an accident while conducting an experiment aiming to harness the power of cosmic rays, resulting in Sally's skin being able to turn invisible, her younger brother Cody bursting into flames the moment he comes into contact with oxygen, her mentally handicapped cousin Ned having his entire body grow a new thick layer of outer skin like a huge callus, with him being left in constant pain, and Richard himself gaining super elastic powers. These are the Fantastic Four of the Venture Bros universe, a tormented group of innocent, vulnerable people who have suffered disturbing amounts of body horror and psychological trauma, and they were hidden from the world by Richard Impossible to salvage his reputation, not caring at all about how abusive he was being towards his wife and her family. He never even considered about working on finding some kind of cure for their conditions, he just let them suffer. Richard later finds out that Dr. Venture has learned his secret, and leaves him to die on top of a snowy mountain, but he was eventually saved by Brock Samson, his secret ancient bodyguard. Samson and the Venture brothers were already traveling to the Arctic because of another problem. Earlier in the episode, Hank had become infected with a virus that gave him rashes all over his body, made him grow a beard, and, most importantly, it was going to cause him to explode. He had been turned into a human bomb. It's because of this that they were tracking down Richard Impossible to see if he had a cure, since he was the one that invented the virus for the US Army. Richard's solution, though, was gonna be to just kill Hank, but he is stopped by Sally, her brother, and her cousin by the end, and they later all work together to find a cure for Hank. We would continue to see these characters and their story develop throughout the show. Sally became pregnant and had a son with Richard, and we see him for the first time during season 2, in an episode that sees Team Venture trying to assemble the missing pieces to form Jonas Venture Sr.'s greatest invention, a device that's crucial to save mankind from an alien threat. And one of the device's missing components is hidden inside the headquarters of Impossible Industries. Sally becomes excited as soon as she sees Dr. Venture, having hopes that he might save her from her terrible marriage, but Dr. Venture manipulates her into getting them access inside of Impossible Industries. Professor Impossible soon discovers their plans and kidnaps them, but Dr. Venture's younger brother, Jonas Jr., is able to escape from their binds and defeats Professor Impossible with the help of Brock Sampson. This is actually when things turn around for Sally and her life starts getting better, since she immediately falls for Jonas Jr. and they start a relationship, with him eventually even getting married.
Don't wait up, hon.
But just as Sally's life started getting better, Richard's life began getting worse and worse. The next time we saw this storyline continue was during the 9th episode of season 3, that shows JJ opening the Museum of Jonas Venture in Skull Island, and inviting most recurring characters from the show to attend, including Richard Impossible, something that really upsets Sally. We see Richard completely washed up and depressed, turned into a sad, pathetic alcoholic that can't get over the fact that his wife left him, and is unwilling to finalize their divorce. The episode's conflict escalates until a bomb is set to explode, something that would destroy Skull Island and take out everyone there. But Professor Impossible actually saves them at the last moment by putting the bomb in his mouth and taking the force of the explosion. Sally thanks him for what she believes was a selfless, altruistic act, but it's suggested that he wasn't trying to save people, he was actually trying to kill himself because he's completely depressed. The next time we see Richard Impossible, he's even more depressed, still not over Sally leaving him. Phantom Limb, another recurring villain from the show, goes to visit Impossible Industries to convince him to turn into a villain and be part of his Revenge Society, a group formed to attack the Guild of Calamitous Intent and also Dr. Venture. Richard agrees to this and starts going by Professor Encourageable moving forward. Something that I find really amusing about all this is that Venture Bros managed to do an evil version of Mr. Fantastic before Marvel's infamous The Maker. Since this episode aired during 2010, and the ultimate version of Reed Richards didn't debut as The Maker until 2011, I'm sure there are other, older evil versions of Mr. Fantastic that I'm just not aware of, but I still think it's neat that this show's writers thought of a concept like this around the same time as Marvel did. We get to see Professor Encourageable and their Revenge Society once again during episode 13, where they try to take revenge on Dr. Venture and finally kill him for everything he's caused them. We see that they are using Impossible Industries' resources to accomplish their goals, and we later see what might be one of the most disturbing scenes from the entire series, since it's revealed to us that Richard has actually been using Cody, their Human Torch equivalent, as a living human energy source for years.
Huh? What'd I tell you? Yes, sir. Thanks to this little dynamo, Impossible Industries is 100% green.
This is really fucked up. This is a character that we hadn't seen since season 1. We didn't know anything new about him for years, and the next time we see him we learn that he's been getting tortured, abused, and used as a battery this entire time by a guy who used to be his brother-in-law. This Mr. Fantastic really doesn't give a shit about family values, or anything Reed Richards might care about. He's just evil, plain evil.
I don't know, Pop. They want fair and square. The Impossible family made a really convincing Fantastic Four.
Don't make excuses for your brother, Dean. He blew it for all of us. Henry Allen Venture, are you hearing this? What do you have to say for yourself?
I am the bat.
Now, given that the show includes variants for most popular superheroes, it of course has its own version of Superman. I know that most of you are really tired of evil versions of Superman by now. It's a trope that's been absolutely done to death. But I honestly believe this show's version of a bad Superman is far more disturbing than most, even if he may not be as overtly murderous or sadistic. Usually, most evil Supermen like to do things like kill innocent people and commit mass murder. You know, the usual stuff. But this evil Superman likes young boys. Like, he really really likes young boys. The second episode of season 4 starts with the Monarch extorting Dr. Venture for money after he kidnapped both Dean and Hank. Suddenly, a Superman-like character with solar powers and a rainbow suit called Captain Sunshine breaks into the Monarch's lair to take revenge on the Monarch for killing his sidekick Wonder Boy years prior. Captain Sunshine would see Hank at that moment and instantly liked him, and so he rescued him. But not Dean though, and offered Hank the opportunity to become the new Wonder Boy. This character has many elements that make him work not only as a Superman parody, but also as a Batman parody as well. Captain Sunshine is a millionaire playboy with a secret identity as a TV news reporter, Chuck Scarsdale. He lives in a mansion and operates as a superhero in a cave under his home. He has a butler and, most importantly, is also voiced by the legendary Kevin Conroy, the most iconic voice for Batman that we've ever had.
Captain Sunshine!
Got a thing for torturing young boys, don't you? Well, you're not fighting a boy now.
Another thing of note is that his butler, Desmond, isn't just an ordinary butler, though he is presented like that originally. During a later episode, it's revealed that he was the original Captain Sunshine during the 60s, and they even showed the current Captain Sunshine giving him a kiss on his forehead. So, you know, maybe he learned to love his sidekicks from Desmond. The episode doesn't directly state that Captain Sunshine is a pedophile, but it does heavily imply it, although it leaves it ambiguous as to whether he's just fulfilling some weird sexually charged desires, or if he's vicariously living through his young sidekicks and using them as a way of latching onto his own childhood, since we see him acting like a child whenever he's with Hank, almost as if he wants to regress psychologically. Not only is Captain Sunshine dangerous because of his obsession with needing to have a young boy by his side acting as his Wonder Boy, but his years of losing multiple sidekicks has made him become increasingly more unstable and violent, brutally attacking a supervillain that was just driving around and wasn't doing anything wrong. All of this escalates to the point that it leads Captain Sunshine to lose his mind on live TV as he's reporting the news, and sees footage of Monarch's cocoon approaching his mansion, where Hank was still staying. So yeah, a mass-murdering evil Superman might technically be worse on a global scale, but a PDF Superman is just far more disturbing and unsettling, although Hank is supposed to be 18 already at this point in the story, so, you know, at least he wasn't a minor. This episode takes one of the oldest jokes about superheroes always having little boys for sidekicks and takes it to an uncomfortable place that's just too much.
So don't do this. Just gonna let myself out. Don't do this, Wonder Boy.
You broke my heart, Hank. You broke my heart.
I think I'm gonna end the video now. Yeah.